Jeff Hardy makes his AEW return to save his brother and Isiah Cassidy in a segment against the Firm. Not something I expected to see on the night, but I'm sure somewhere along the line we'll get into this as one of the main stories that happened on the show. What's up, people? My name's Mekz, a WrestleManiac here, reporting for Revolution Radio alongside my co-host.
Yo, people, it's your boy NK, aka the man of the hour, too sweet to be sour, aka the Hood Japanese correspondent, aka the CEO, the president, the commissioner, the TDM. It's good to be back on Revolution Radio, man.
Yeah, man. Like we were just saying before we got started, like the episode of AEW we got this week was particularly light, I guess.
Yeah.
Especially compared to everything that we got last week and had to discuss last week. But
Yeah.
this Jeff Hardy thing, I don't know if it falls within any of your categories of stuff we're going to talk about today. Does it?
No, it doesn't. It doesn't actually.
Cool.
No.
Likewise. So let's just kind of cover it now.
Yeah.
Jeff Hardy's returned. Obviously, we know he's been away. Misdemeanour in regards to drinking and driving. Done some rehabilitation after that as well. And he's come back and I think he's been a bit of a mixed reaction, it's fair to say. Some people are happy to see him. When we hear that music, I think just the part of nostalgia hits for everybody. And whether you're a fan of him or not, or how he wrestles or whatever the case is, it's like, oh, at least that was the reaction. Oh, Jeff Hardy's back. And then you think about it, we've lost someone, is it earlier this year in Jay Briscoe, to drink driving and all of this kind of stuff. It's like, should this really be what we're getting back? What's your opinions on his return?
Do you know what? It's conflicting because it's like, obviously the man, if the man wants to work and the man is physically able to work, I get it. But I don't know. My thing is, can they work him safely? If he's just there, almost, I'm not like a Sting, but almost like a Sting thing where he'll wrestle here and there, but he's mostly going to be in the background and not going to be a focal point of the product, then I'm all for it. But don't have this man wrestling death matches, ladder matches, stuff that's going to put strain on his body, that's going to obviously make him, resort back to his old ways. You don't know why Jeff Hardy was drinking, but certainly taking like dangerous bumps and putting yourself through a lot of like pain-inducing matches is definitely not the thing to do while you're battling an addiction problem, innit? So I think it all depends on how he's used in AEW, and Tony Khan has to be mindful of that. But I feel like we've seen many rehabilitation cases in wrestling, and I feel like Jeff Hardy's a grown man, who kind of has to make his own decisions as well. So it's a thing where I don't know. It's. I understand why people are concerned, and I'm slightly concerned, but him being around the business and being like there isn't a problem. It's just to what capacity they use him at. And if he's somebody who's going to be on the road all the time, then that's a problem. But if he's just a cameo role, then no harm, no foul in it. It's fine.
Yeah, I mean, you raised a very good point on the fact that, if he's using it to kind of get around, mending himself after gruesome matches, then yeah, it could be kind of scary. People are talking about Matt Hardy. People are talking about Matt Hardy and Jeff Hardy becoming tag champions. What's your opinion on that?
Absolutely not. For more, like, there's many reasons. As I said before, the responsibility of a tag champion is to go around. Yeah, a good tag team reign often involves tag team champions consistently going on the road and defending their titles. That's not particularly, I wouldn't say that's particularly good for Jeff Hardy at the moment. Two, there's other talent in that tag team division that needs to be pushed. We've kind of spoken about as well how like the trio title was kind of taken over like the top spot of being like the top multi-man title. And obviously the Guns' run wasn't amazing, but it was serviceable. But we haven't had that amazing tag team run again. And also FTR just got the titles. And then when it comes to the Hardys, I'm so sorry. I have to bring the elephant in the room back. I remember that match at Double or Nothing against the Young Bucks. And granted, that match might have been, largely due to Jeff fighting with his demons. But that's the last impression I have of the Hardys as a tag team. And I don't think it's wise to go back there. And I just feel like there's other tag teams in AEW to push. So there's multiple reasons why I emphatically say absolutely not. They should be a nostalgia act, and that's it.
I mean, there has been talk of, Edge leaving WWE, coming over to AEW, and people were talking about getting Edge and Christian one last time. Like, if Jeff can manage to keep himself healthy, I wouldn't be surprised if we do get that in terms of Edge and Christian, and then some type of Jeff Hardy, Matt Hardy, Hardy Boys, one last hurrah, one last TLC match or something.
Yeah.
Between them.
Yeah. No. Yeah. TLC scares me, just because that scares me. But I think a multi-man match where there's multiple tag teams, maybe you throw the Bucks or Jurassic or somebody in there with Edge and Christian. But the thing is, with Edge and Christian, I don't mind them coming back because Christian has done good work in AEW, and even in WWE, Edge has come back and done good work and shown himself to be in good shape. So I thought it's a different proposition to the Hardys because like they've been killing it. But I don't know, man. I mean, it's the Hardy. So will we get a ladder match at some point in time? Most likely. Do I think it's necessary? No. No. I really don't. I just thought limit their roles. Just limit their roles. Yeah.
Yeah. This whole segment in general, I was wondering why, it kind of was going on and going. I was waiting for like, what is the climax of this segment? Because even Hook came out, and I assessed the whole picture. I was like, okay, Hook is like quote unquote the biggest star here right now, but like, what are we waiting for? And then
what are we doing
Jeff Hardy's music hit, and I thought, okay, like this is it.
When I saw Ethan Page cutting a promo, I said, I know I'm not the only one who doesn't give a monkeys about this firm nonsense. Like, why are you? Especially, I think it was either before or after the Blackpool Combat match, which we'll get into. But I was like, can we get to the stuff that we actually came for? Like, this firm nonsense has been abysmal, and cool. It justified itself with a Jeff Hardy pop. That's fine. I hope this match ends. I hope this match, I hope a match happens on Rampage that just ends this feud and we can move the Hardys on to something else. I would love, for example, I'd love to see the Hardys, just wrestle with some younger teams here and there. Varsity Blondes, that's just a name that comes to mind. And these other teams here and there, and then maybe I wouldn't mind them challenging for a title. They have to lose, but I wouldn't mind them challenging for a title. Like, it'd be a good defense for FTR to be like, oh yeah, we defeated the Hardys. Do you know what I'm saying? So when it comes to that, I don't mind. But like I said, limit their roles, limit them, please, please. We don't need to see Hardy Boys as undisputed, longest reigning AEW champs. I beg, please.
Last but not least on this segment, obviously Matt Hardy's basically trying to show he's done the contractual stuff to escape Ethan Page's contract, and he's got a stipulation match coming up with him. Do you think it's going to be a delete match, some type of cinematic something?
I would like to see one, but this feud doesn't justify it.
Yeah.
It don't justify it. It'd be like there's no, like, the final deletions. I think we've seen one or two in AEW, and obviously we've seen it in TNA. Like, those were like big feuds with like major programs. This is a nothing program. Why waste the resources of the hat? Like, I don't know, man. If we get that, I mean, I'd prefer that than an actual match, but I don't know. I don't think it justifies that. To be honest, I wouldn't care. Like, it'd be nice to look at, but I'm like, really?
Yeah,
like, for these, man.
I think you're right. The match, like the feud, has like basically probably been on more places like Rampage and Dark and stuff like that.
If
Doesn't
that.
necessarily, yeah, if that, it doesn't necessarily justify it, but I think it could be fun to watch. They tend to do those matches. I remember the Matt Hardy Sammy Guevara one after the accident in the match they actually had.
Yeah.
That was very good. That match was quite fun. So yeah, they'll do a good job of it if they were to do it. But yeah, cool. So getting on to the actual Dynamite show, like we said in the intro, a bit of a quiet show compared to all the banging stuff we got, but still some quality stuff on this show. And we will start with, we have our segments, MVP of Dynamite. So, who was like the top performer, whether it be a great promo, in performing a match or anything like that. Yeah, I will start with yourself, NK. I started last week. Do you want to go with who your MVP of Dynamite is?
My MVP of Dynamite is Darby Allin. Darby Allin had the very good match with Swerve Strickland. And then he had the promo segment with MJF. And do you know, like, it's weird to say, like, Darby is a very good promo. And the reason why it's weird to say is because he doesn't talk often. But I feel like this feud, and I feel like him talking less has kind of like heightened the impact of him finally talking when it matters, because now he's speaking the most when objectively it matters most. Like, yeah, I'm fighting for the title. I'm resting my case for the title. Let me speak now. Let me say my piece. Let me tell you lot my story, because I have a reason to now, because I'm trying to, show, obviously sell to the audience, but also just tell you the road I took to get here and why this championship means so much. So it's like less is more sometimes, you know what I'm saying? And I feel like Darby, out of like the four pillars except for MJF, has really we've always booked him as being okay, yeah, after MJF is Darby, but like I feel like he set himself apart from, respectfully, Jungle Boy and Sammy Guevara, because like he's the person I'm most invested in this match, outside of like obviously the champion MJF. And I feel like he's made a great account for himself in these promos. And I just thought we'll get to the segment as a whole later on, but I just feel like having the match he had with Swerve and then just having that promo segment as well just really made me look at Darby as like, yeah, like, do you know what? He's really the future. Like, the other guys, like we've spoken about whether the four pillars name is worthy or if it's an apt description of these guys. But I really feel like now, like I can say for certain, MJF and Darby, those two alone will be like the future of the company. Darby will be a world champion at some point. The Sammy Guevara and Jungle Boy have great potential. And obviously, nothing against them, but it's just I feel like MJF and Darby are almost the finished articles at this point.
Yeah.
They're as close. Like there's probably more stuff they could add to their game, but they're as close to complete as young talent could be. So yeah, man, Darby Allin is my MVP of Dynamite.
Yeah, I think you're bang on with that assessment. I think the likes of we were talking about, we need to get to a point where AEW isn't Kenny Omega and the Bucks.
Yeah.
Like we have to transition out of, obviously it's early days as to when the company started and all that stuff, but we definitely need to start kind of making who the next guys are. And we argue that pillars maybe wasn't the right term to define these man. We said that obviously MJF was well away from the other ones of the pillars. But yeah, now we can see that Darby is now even separating himself from Jungle Boy and Sammy Guevara. He's got what it takes. That gulf is getting bigger between him and the rest of those two, and shortening, if you like, between him and MJF. Yeah, Darby and MJF for sure are people that, can stand up and be counted when it's time to replace Omegas and Bucks and Moxleys and stuff like that. When them man start slowing down, these are guys that are definitely putting the company on their back. And, again, we'll talk about Darby and that promo and stuff in a bit, but just the passion he spoke with in regards to AEW as well. Like you could tell, like it's almost like this company came along, just ticked all the boxes of what he wanted from a career, and he's here now and doesn't have to even think about going anywhere else ever. Like, so yeah, he definitely future world champion. And yeah, the match he put on, as well as that promo, definitely is enough to give him MVP of Dynamite.
Yeah.
My personal MVP of Dynamite was Orange Cassidy. Like, there wasn't much in terms of a segment or anything that, you know, and even when you get segments and promo segments from Orange Cassidy, he never gives you much anyway because of his character. But the match he had with Buddy Matthews, and it's to be honest, it's more than the match he had. If I'm correct, Orange Cassidy has been champion since about October, November.
Yes, probably October. Yeah.
This guy has had over 15 defenses of this title in that time. A lot of these defenses have been consecutive weeks, you know, back to back to back, whether it's Dynamites back to back or Rampages back to back, or a Rampage and then a Dynamite, or a Dynamite and then a Rampage. Like, the run he is on right now. And it came to, I remember there was a point earlier this year when I was like, okay, like, we need to start building up other guys and stuff. I was not that I was bored. I just wanted something different, I would say. Now it's like, I don't mind it. Let's keep, because he's capable. He's having great matches, and it was never a thing that I questioned his capability. It's just, I just wanted something different. But now I'm more than content, because he is an excellent champion. They have framed him as an excellent champion. This belt follows the world title, and it's plain and simple to see. Like, the TNT title has drifted off into the sunset with what they're doing. Like, this is a very, very important title in the company. They're making it feel so. Maybe it's because they invested in Orange Cassidy. We don't know what the future will be of it, you know, when he drops it, or whatever the case is. The match with Buddy Matthews was fantastic. Absolutely fantastic match. Probably the best match on the show, on the night. And yeah, I just think that, although I'm kind of putting into this everything he's done since he's become champion, I just think Orange Cassidy's bloody wicked. Like, I just think he deserves this.
I feel like the evolution of Orange Cassidy is so interesting. And because when he first started off in AEW, obviously people who knew from the independents knew he could wrestle, but his gimmick was, to a lot of the mainstream audience, was, oh, okay, we know he can wrestle, but the appeal is, okay, he wrestles so little that that when he does wrestle, it's a spectacle. But that only lasts for so long in terms of, oh, the novelty of the lazy guy wrestling. But what he's done, he's managed to, like, because I thought in the beginning days of AEW, we're going to get tired of Orange Cassidy, because I felt like the gimmick had a short lifespan. I was incredibly wrong. Not only was I wrong, though, it's like he's almost done the opposite of his gimmick. He's the lazy character, but he's being the workhorse of the company.
Yeah.
And he's going out there week after week after week after week and putting on, like, these great matches that we're seeing on TV. And then now, obviously, it's taken a while, but he's finally going to be a traveling champion. Well, he's still going to be in America, but he's going to New Japan and defending the title against Gabriel Kidd. And it's like, Pac was the first champion, but I feel like when Orange Cassidy eventually loses the title, he's going to be the gold standard of the All Atlantic title.
Yeah.
The same way we look at, for example, Cody or Miro or Brody Lee as the gold standard of the TNT championship. I think Orange Cassidy is the gold standard of the All Atlantic championship. And obviously, this is more so of a rhetorical question. I have to answer it now. But like, when I think of, obviously his run's not done, but when I think of like some of the best AEW title runs, I will put this in the conversation. It's not done yet, so I can't officially put it in. But I will put this with a Miro TNT, Kenny Omega AEW Championship, Young Bucks Tag Team Championship. When you think about great AEW AEW Championship runs, this Orange Cassidy run will be there once it's all said and done.
Yeah, there's just too many very good, TV matches for this to be
Yeah,
forgotten about.
yeah.
Yeah, I don't
And it
know.
gets high profile guys as well. Like these guys
Yeah,
aren't scrubs or whatever.
yeah. I think it started with people that you could argue were, under his level in terms of
Yeah.
defenses, just to maybe build up the first few. But since then, these are people of his level, people that you would argue are some of the, better wrestling competitors, like
Mm-hmm.
Buddy Matthews last night. I don't want to say he done everything to kind of put over Orange Cassidy, because at this point, it's not like we need to be sold on Orange Cassidy, but he wrestled his ass off to kind of show, and that's a good
Mm-hmm.
showcase for him as well. And
Yeah.
aspirations for what they want to do with him. Like, I just thought it was just absolutely fantastic, and yeah, he's someone that will probably go under the radar often, but Orange Cassidy needs his accolades because yeah,
Oh, for sure.
that
Oh, for
that
sure.
that was this week was great. So yeah, Darby Allin, Orange Cassidy as our MVPs of Dynamite. We'll go over to match of the night, the best match on Dynamite. And yeah, this is really just following on from what I was
Yeah.
just saying. My match of the night was Cassidy and Buddy Matthews. Again, just high profile. I feel like Darby and Swerve done a great job to open the show. But it's unfortunate that this they fell short to what was to come later on in the film, and even that they framed it as a big match.
Yeah.
Justin Roberts came out, he done the whole big intro and everything like that. It just really felt special. We spoke about Orange Cassidy, Buddy Matthews. It's like, give me more of this guy. Give me
Mm-hmm.
more of what we saw last night. Like, this is what we all got excited for, that he's come to AEW, and we saw flashes of this in WWE, especially during his cruiserweight run, and when he was cruiserweight champion as well. But it's like, this is the place where it's quote unquote unfiltered. No one's telling you how to wrestle or what to do in your moveset. So this is the kind of stuff I want to see from Buddy Matthews, and he has to work his way, up into a particular echelon within House of Black, because even the likes of Malachi Black, I would say that right now they're probably all falling short to Brody King, sorry, who's been getting like all the accolades. He's been the one really shining within House of Black.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, Buddy with a really good performance, kind of reminding everyone what he's capable of, was what was needed, in my opinion.
Yeah. Yeah, my match of the night is the same. I just felt like this match was exactly what I wanted from the two. And I've wanted Buddy Matthews. I feel like House of Black right now I finally found their groove, but for their first like year of AEW, we could be honest and say like it left a lot to be desired. And this is kind of where I would envision Buddy Matthews being. Obviously, he's got the trios championship now, and they're doing well with the trios titles at the moment. But yeah, this match was just high energy. I love like the selling of the hand that Orange Cassidy was doing. And bro, those near falls, man, they got me, man. Like, that's the thing. Like I knew like Orange Cassidy was gonna retain. But again, it's those things in wrestling where Orange Cassidy selling is so believable, and him and Buddy Matthews have amazing chemistry. We even saw that in the trios match they had with Best Friends versus House of Black. Like my favorite interactions during that trios match was Buddy Matthews and Orange Cassidy. So the fact that they booked a match with just them two was excellent. So yeah, man, this obviously we've shared our praise of this match, but yeah, this match is definitely match of the night for me as well.
Yeah, like I said, a close second is Swerve and
Yeah.
Orange Cassidy.
Hmm.
Yeah, that was very, very good. And obviously we've seen, those that have seen their previous match in AEW and then their storied history in Defy.
Yeah.
You know what to expect when these men step out. But
Yeah.
yeah, Orange Cassidy and Matthews absolutely stole it for me personally. Um, let's get on to the best Dynamite segment. Again, I wouldn't say there was so many to pick from, as I felt like there was a lot last week to pick from. But what was your best Dynamite segment from the week?
So it's not it's kind of cheating, but the two segments relate together. It's the Kenny Omega video package with the obviously the Blackpool Combat Club and the Elite Brawl. I think those two things interlink. But if I had to pick just one, I'd pick the brawl between those. But I like what I feel like this Elite Blackpool Combat storyline is kind of what AEW needed, because I felt like since probably the Brawl Out situation, the beauty of AEW is that there was always an A and B story, a story involving the title, and then a hot like storyline that doesn't involve a title. And this is what the Elite versus Blackpool Combat stuff is. It's like it feels like either one of the most important storylines in AEW or the most important storyline in AEW. And I loved Kenny Omega taking this situation seriously, talking about Don Callis, and just talking about, you know, what lengths he's willing to go to. I loved the brawl. Obviously, we kind of knew where it was going when Kenny Omega came out and then the Young Bucks returned. But like this feud and then obviously the beatdown of Michael Nakazawa and Brandon Cutler was hilarious. Like this feud has intensity, it has passion, and do you know what the beauty of this feud is? Like, we've seen all of these, well, except for maybe Claudio and Yuta, but we've seen Moxley feud with the Bucks before. We've seen Moxley feud with Kenny Omega before. But they've added little nuances into this feud that's made this feel unique and feel different from the other feuds we've seen in the past. And just each week I'm invested to see what happens next. Like, what lengths are these guys going to go to? And then obviously Danielson was missing this week, Hangman was missing this week, so obviously next week we might get a segment between them two. I feel like, just like I said, the Elite are amazing storytellers, but also big up Moxley, big up Wheeler Yuta. I know we're the biggest fans of Claudio here, but no, in fact, there was one part about Claudio that was funny when he was banging Michael Nakazawa's head on the phone. I was like, this seems bare gentle. Throw him into the thing, fam. This is bare gentle. But,
Yeah.
aside from that, but I just feel like everyone's in each respective faction is firing on all cylinders. And yeah, man, it's a hot program, and I'm excited to see where it goes next. So yeah, man, the Elite Blackpool Combat Club encounter is probably my segment of the week.
Yeah, that's fine. I think that was one of my choices, my second choice maybe. There's a lot of good stuff, like you said, that the passion and everything being showed here is really making it very believable. Like, these guys have beef. Good brawl. Obviously, Kenny, with the first segment you talked about on the Titron, it basically kind of missold that he wasn't around, basically. And then obviously just to come out later during the night, the Bucks were back as well. It's funny that they kind of watched Cutler and Nakazawa get beaten up, even though they were actually around. But yeah, they eventually came out to do their thing. And yeah, it's setting up nicely, and we haven't even had, you know, I guess what will be one of the main story beats within this story of Hangman actually rejoining the Elite.
Yeah,
that's formally or just for the sake of the matchup, the payoff match, or whatever the case is. Yeah, that's still to come. So yeah, there's some really interesting stuff here. I don't know if you've seen what the internet are saying around this screwdriver stuff.
Was it a call back to Omega and Moxie's match in Full Gear, the Lights Out match?
Not that they're saying that.
Oh,
obviously the traditional name, and we learn these guys love a Easter egg. The traditional name of the screwdriver is a Phillips screwdriver. Philip. Phil Brooks.
I don't know.
It could be a reach. It very much could be a reach, but at the end of the day, we know these guys like their Easter eggs.
Yeah.
So whether that's the thing of they've buried the hatchet with Phil, or they want to inflict damage on Phil. Who knows? But like it is something to kind of just have on the radar, because we know who we're dealing with. These guys are intense, very detailed storytellers. So
Yes, for sure, for sure.
it
I
could be
just
something.
because the thing I saw with the screwdriver, I saw there was a spot that Kenny Omega and Moxley did in their lights out match in 2019, where it was Moxley trying to stab Kenny with a screwdriver, and it landed in like the exact same spot. And then now Kenny tried to do it to Moxley and landed in the exact same spot. So that's what I thought the callback was. But yeah, with the Elite, it's like some people don't like the callbacks because they feel like it alienates new audiences. But it's just the thing where I don't know. If you are part of the story and you've been there, it's like, oh, I got that. I see that. Okay, that's cool. But it doesn't take away from the story they're telling as a whole. I feel like you could get the story without the callbacks.
Of course, of course. And this is just one of those things that people will blame indie wrestling, they'll blame the Elite for. There's been callbacks in wrestling, before the beginning of time.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
this isn't new. They just do
yeah,
it, the best. They are one of the best
yeah.
people to do it. But, like, this has been happening in wrestling. This isn't something that the
Mm-hmm.
Elite created and, they're making it wrestling too intricate or whatever the complaint would be. Like, yeah, it's just something in it. Like,
Yeah.
and yeah, it's the internet that are running with the whole Phil thing, Philip Screwdriver, which could be true, could not be true, who knows, in it. But yeah, this was a really good segment. I'm looking forward to where this is going. We still thinking blood and guts?
Yeah. I don't actually. It's either Blood and Guts or Anarchy in the Arena, but I would prefer Blood and Guts. I don't know. I think it's one of those two.
Mm.
One of those two. But I don't think this ends here. I think by All In it ends, but I feel like at Double or Nothing or whatever, it doesn't necessarily end. I feel like just I feel like the big payoff is probably, I feel like they're building, like you said, towards Hangman officially joining the Elite. I feel like that's when that things will get wrapped up. But also, even on being the Elite, there was a Kota Ibushi sighting on being the Elite. Yeah, like he was basically, I think they were doing a montage of just the Elite, and they showed an old clip of the Young Bucks, but then Kota Ibushi was in the background. And somebody said in the comment section as well, they put a song and they conveniently showed Kota Ibushi's face as the song said All In. But again, you could be reaching, but literally, because I saw the clip, I was like, the song does say All In when the Kota Ibushi's literally chilling in the background. Could he be a factor in this story? We don't know in it. But yeah, this story can go in many different places. But yeah, I think the Hangman and Elite reunion is something that like will just send the crowd wild.
Might be getting me to tune back into being the Elite. I ain't watched that in a
Yeah.
while.
I can't lie, the Elite and also or being the Elite on the side note, it's become a lot. The last two episodes are very Elite focused, which is what I want to see. To
Yeah,
be honest, because that's why I
exactly.
watch it. But yeah,
Exactly.
they've been like very Elite focused.
Okay. Might have to tune back into that. One last point on this segment before I go with my best Dynamite segment. I was watching obviously like the formation of the BCC, and it's funny to me how almost I don't feel like we got it a lot from last night's Milwaukee crowd, but everywhere else, why Utah's got a lot of heat. People don't seem to like Utah for whatever reason. I'm not too sure. I know his promos, because of maybe his voice, comes across a bit whiny sometimes, but I don't really know the reason why fans don't gravitate to Utah. However, I don't see it as a negative. When I was watching last night, I felt a lot of comparisons to the Judgment Day in WWE and Dom Mysterio. How people like Damian Priest, people like Finn Balor, people like Rhea Ripley, but people don't like Dom Mysterio. And I always felt the exact same thing, obviously, with everyone else in BCC. People love Bryan Danielson. People love Claudio. People love John Moxley. No one likes Utah. But at the same time, Dom is harnessing that well, and getting a lot of heat. And I think Utah, I would just like to see that a bit more from him. the crowd at AEW tend to just jump on him whenever Moxley does a mic segment and people are cheering, even though they know they should be booing. Danielson the same. Claudio rarely touches mic. Yuta tends to touch mic more often. Like, I feel like if he's going to be the hated one amongst this group, even though they all should all be hated, he should really go for it, is what I'm
Yeah,
trying
he
to
should
say.
be
Like,
he should be talking a lot.
yeah,
Um,
he should really
I
try
just
to be the
yeah,
one to absorb all the heat so that BCC can
yeah,
actually be heels and get that heel reception. Because I think
yeah,
there's nothing wrong with, like, oh, why is everyone booing just me? Like, if they hate you, like, make them really hate
yeah,
you. And I think
yeah,
there's a lot we know in terms of ability. I'm not comparing Dom and Yuta at all. Yuta's clear, like, in terms of
yeah,
ability. It's
yeah,
just a character thing where I'd say if we were to
yeah,
compare the two factions in this capacity, Dom has that one up on him, and maybe it's because Dom is going against his dad in Rey Mysterio, who's obviously beloved by
yeah,
everyone. So maybe Yuta needs to go against maybe someone more so like Hangman or Omega that is just,
yeah.
you
He
know,
take
beloved by
cheat. Yeah,
everyone, and just
yeah.
target that person to get that heat.
Yeah, I feel like I think you as the easy target. I feel like he's the person, like you said, who we all of these guys we know even before AEW, they have had very decorated careers, across WWE and so on and so forth. You as the kind of the person we know, most of the fans know him because of his tenure at AEW. So he's the person who's like, oh, if I have to hate somebody, he's the easiest target for me to hate. And I feel like yeah, you are should embrace that. Utah obviously they're feuding with Blackpool Combat, or they're feuding with the Elite. But if like let's say Blackpool Combat are scheduled for a match or whatever, have you to be the one to take to pin the other guy. Have you or be let's say the first person who starts off the promo, then he gives it to the guy. Like just really like hold in and like yeah. Okay. And that Danielson said you as I think called you a little shit or something
Shithead,
like that.
shithead,
Yeah, a
yeah.
shithead like that. Embrace that. Embrace the shithousery. Like, just go all out with it. Like, just become like. I would love, like, for example, like let's say they attack Hangman in an or Omega in the next coming weeks. You are to be the one. Yeah, I beat up your boy Kenny Omega. Kenny Omega ain't on my job. I'm saying like the Young Bucks ain't done ish in this business. I'm however years old and I have a cop. Just start talking rubbish so
He
the
he
fans can be like, yeah, ban this guy.
Yeah, he needs to be like almost the scrappy do of the situation. Like,
Yeah,
let me
exactly.
at him. Like,
Yeah,
I want to get the last
exactly.
punch in, and they are
Yeah.
still the big men. You know, the Claudios, Moxleys, Danielson. They're pulling him back and be like, fall in line and relax and all of that kind of stuff. We're done here. Let's go. Like,
Mm.
you needs to get the last punch in. He has to get the last word in, and yeah, I just feel like there's a big opportunity here to really get all the heat on him. Where he is the one that's not really being liked, you might as well just embrace it, sort of thing.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah.
them man are doing good stuff. My best Dynamite segment, again, we go back to the opening match, but like I'm honing in on the segment that followed. Darby and
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was brilliant, which we've spoken about already. I guess the surprise package in this was when Sting came out, and Sting, not someone I would say known for promos, or as much as a legend, an icon as we count him, we don't say, oh yeah, you know, remember that great Sting promo there or that great Sting promo there. Like, people would often even denounce Sting and say, oh, he's not good at promos, which, you know, from last night, I think we can see that's not the case. Because he cut this brilliant promo saying that, you know, I'm not Darby Allin's dad, I'm his cheerleader. He had the pom-poms in his jacket, bringing the pom-poms out, throwing them at my man. And obviously he made a great point that, you know, you, MJF, had a cheerleader once upon a time, Cody. And of course, everyone,
Mm-hmm.
because you named the WWE guy now and all that kind of stuff. And he really just kind of, you know, created balance in the playing field somewhat. Yeah, Darby was fantastic because, again, like you said earlier, Darby isn't someone we often associate with promos. But since that bar mitzvah segment where all four of them were in the ring and he cut that first promo, fantastic. Every time Darby's touched Mike, he's been fantastic. And this was no different last night. MGF was obviously his brilliant best as per. And then we got the surprise package of Sting, like I said. So for me, this was the segment of the night.
Yeah, I've said it before, and obviously, like, I don't want to beat a dead horse, but Sting is like the gold standard. Not even, not I wouldn't even say of veterans, of just like what a mentor should be like in wrestling in terms of, and obviously it will depend on whether your character's a heel or not. But when Sting never feels like he's taking away from Darby, he never feels like Sting is does this thing where he retains his aura of being Sting. He's Sting, he'll get the pop, but everything he does is in service to Darby or the program. And what I liked about, and even he was like, yeah, like, listen, my time in wrestling isn't long, but this guy right here is going to be the one. And like I said, like in the nature of the four pillars, this guy's going to be a future champion. This guy's going to be the one to, bring the company forward. And I loved, and also as well, and the thing with Cody as well. Cody, I think it was when Sting first debuted, Cody said like Sting was his idol growing up. So it's like, the person who was your cheerleader, looked up and idolized me. So I don't know why you're coming and talking about me being a dad to this
That's a
person where,
great point. Yeah.
there's levels to this. Do you know what I'm saying? But I just felt like, yeah, that's just in Sting. Sting as a promo he's a very good promo, but I feel like it's just it's an understated part of his game because the gimmick is so loud. He's had great matches, you know what I'm saying? It's kind of the thing we don't think about the most. But whenever I've heard Sting talk and kind of just Sting listing like the reinventions of his career when he spoke about Crow Sting, Wolfpack Sting, Joker Sting and TNA, it was kind of like, yeah, like I've seen everything, therefore I have the knowledge and experience. I've been around some of the best in the game, and I know how to spot talent the way great talent spotted me. And I'm co-signing this guy because I know my stuff when it comes to this wrestling thing. And MJF, like, do not to be fair, MJF didn't underestimate him either. And that's another thing I like as well. With especially with Darby, MJF, obviously he was his traditional MJF self, but normally MJF is super condescending, and there was elements of that, but there was an element of respect when it came to Darby, more so than anyone else, in my opinion, because he mentioned the match that they had, and he mentioned like how talented Darby is, and obviously they have that relationship because like they were in a lot of the same indie promotions together, and you can tell that this relationship between MJF and Darby is more personal than anything that the other two
Yeah.
pillars have with MJF. I just thought the segment was incredible, man. And it's like, yeah, it's like I feel like this segment definitely, like I said before, definitely put Darby as like the front runner in terms of the other three pillars. But it's overall, it's just added to the overall feud as a whole because now I'm interested to see how Jungle Boy reacts to Darby, not just for MJF, like how the other three guys, the other three challengers interact with each other now. I feel like that's another layer to the feud that we haven't yet explored. But yeah, man, that segment was incredible, man. Damn good segment.
Yeah, it was really good. I feel it's gonna be very hard for the others to follow. For the sake of the
Yeah,
match, I don't mind getting a fatal four-way match as the main event of Double or
yeah,
Nothing.
for
I
sure.
don't mind that at all. But I feel like you can, like you just rightly said, you can clearly see the money will be in the eventual Darby Allin versus MJF for the world title. Like
Yeah.
right now, that's where the money is absolutely screaming, and
Mm-hmm.
we don't know where we're gonna get that. It's funny. Obviously, we recorded podcast last night. Versi was talking about maybe Sting challenges for the world title at All In against MJF, which I don't think anyone thought was a bad idea. We just thought, I don't know. It's almost like Versi saw this episode before
Yeah,
before obviously we recorded,
yeah,
but that couldn't have been the case. But do you think, although I think in the promo Sting said he has no interest in the world
yeah. He
title,
has no interest in the title. Yeah,
do you think that is something somewhere along the line we could possibly see on this what seems to be a Sting retirement tour?
I don't not necessarily for the world title, but almost. I feel like if you were gonna spin the block back on Derby, let's say they do the fatal four-way match, and then maybe at a Revolution next year in 2024, you wanna heat up Sting versus Darby versus MJF again. I feel like if MJF retires Sting in a retirement match, then it's like it adds fuel to the fire in Darby. At that point, Darby would have to win the title because your get back has to be extreme. But I feel like it's another layer to the Darby and MJF saga that you could have, where it's like MJF, yeah, I retired your bestie, I retired, and also it will kind of be a thing of like he's already walked out of Cody's shadow, but it's another thing he has over Cody. Let's say wink, wink, Cody comes back in a couple years. I retired your GOAT. So it's another layer in that is another like accolade that MJF has that's not material. Like I retired one of the greats, and it will be something extremely personal to Darby. Another way for MJF to personally get at Darby. So I feel like maybe not for the title, but as a match, like I don't know, career versus something match. I'm all for it. I'm all for it.
Yeah, there's a lot there that they can work with. It's looking good, this little world title picture with like people that are almost new to the world title picture.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to where this develops into. Cool. Last but not least, we have the worst Dynamite segment, which we'll go through. I actually have a couple, and I'll start with my one before we get into yours, NK. And this isn't like a segment per se, but I was just left pondering like what is going on here. So obviously for those that watch Rampage, and I guess this is where this would have started, we've got this merger of mogul affiliates and the embassy, because clearly Parker Boudreaux and maybe I forget the other guy's name has maybe been cut. They haven't been seen for a while. So obviously this is before the Swerve and Darby match. We see them making you see Swerve making his entrance with Brian Cage of the embassy, as well as Prince Nana. The other embassy members weren't actually present, so I don't know. I don't really get it. I mean, my first issue is I thought we were moving away from this Ring of Honor and AEW kind of stuff. We know they're within one kind of company. There's one leader amongst the two companies, but I thought we were moving away from kind of having all these talents just crossing over here and there. The mogul affiliates thing, I felt had some legs to it when we saw Swerve was affiliated on screen with the likes of Rick Ross, who is renowned for his, money to start off with, and just that kind of, riches and all of that kind of stuff. Ever since Swerve kind of started dressing more so as a drill rapper from the UK with his ski masks and his ballies and stuff, like, I don't understand where the mogul part necessarily comes in. I don't understand. Neither did we get a explanation of why they have merged with the embassy. Like I say, he had the great match with Darby, and following that, he said he needs to make some revenge or whatever. And like many had guessed from last week, he took his revenge out on Keith Lee, costing Keith Lee in the main event against Jericho. I don't know if you can help me clear this up, NK, because like I said, it wasn't much of the segment. Well, it was just that bit of the opening of the show, I guess. But Swerve to me has a lot more potential than what we're currently seeing, where they're trying to shoehorn him in, trying to make him work within a faction. Like, there's another segment on the show that we'll probably can talk about that I feel, in terms of the TNT picture, Swerve, this is where Swerve should be dancing and, winning these competitions and give him a run with that title. I'm just not really convinced they're doing a lot of great stuff with Swerve right now.
Yeah, I feel like the mogul affiliates had, and I knew Rick Ross wasn't going to be a consistent fixture of this because busy man. But I do like the embassy being a part of mogul affiliates better than the two they had before. I do feel Brian Cage makes a bit more sense, but like you said, it was kind of like Ring of Honor and AW were mostly separated. But I guess it's a thing where he called a favor, so it's fine. I just don't want to see like I don't want to see like the embassy like defend their trios title in AW or whatever. But yeah, going back, I think the thing that annoys me the most is kind of going back to the Keith Lee thing. Sometimes it's okay, like I know people want continuity and consistency. I'm okay with storylines being dropped if they don't, if the storyline's gone cold and it hasn't served the purpose. And I haven't thought in AW, oh, I really miss what happened to Swerve and Keith. It was kind of like a thing where it had heat and it just died down. And then now going back to it just feels like a waste of time. Because like we're gonna retread the same steps. Like if you're gonna do this, I would honestly you do something like this 2 weeks before what's the pay-per-view coming up? Double or Nothing. Because that way, okay, we have an immediate match. Cool. I spun the block on this feud. We have to fight now because we've done the talking months prior. Now we're going to reload some of the same conversations we've had between these two. I don't like you, you don't like me. Drag it out until we get to Double or Nothing time and then them two have a match. I don't really see the point of it. Yeah, Swerve is... I don't know. Like I'm not in territories where he's like, oh, I feel like he's being wasted or whatever. I'm just a bit confused at what's going on. And like I said, the TNT title picture is right there. And obviously they've got the belt on Will Hobbs. I don't like what they're doing with Will Hobbs, but they've got the belt. I don't like what they're doing with Will Hobbs, but they've got the belt on him. So they've got a belt on it. I don't know. I just don't like this. Do you know what it is this Mogul affiliates thing? If they wanted, it's weird because this Mogul affiliates thing feels like it should be a TNT title thing where the same way you have Will Hobbs and QTTV running around running havoc. Why can't Swerve be in that picture running amok with the Mogul with the Mogul embassy, just getting Brian Cage to cheat for him in matches, give him an incentive. And I feel like if you're gonna build like a faction, have a clear mission statement in mind, an incentive. Okay, why do I need this protection around me? Because I want to protect something or I want to gain something. Now it's just like, okay, we're just out here beefing Keith Lee again. And then what? I don't know.
This is it. Like you can clearly see they're invested in Swerve, which is the right thing to do because he is the star. Like, so it just seems they're just trying to shoehorn him in places and in factions and this, that, and the other. There's no clear plan.
No.
Like, you've went from trying to push him in his own faction to now restructuring the faction to back to a fight he was having months ago with Keith Lee. Like, he's a talent. We can all see that, and you can see that. So that's half the problem solved because we're using him. So this isn't a problem. It's just how we're using him. And like you said, like I said, the TNT title is right there. So yeah, I feel like he's calling himself mogul. Like there's a bit of a disconnect between his presentation and all of that. And then what you're actually doing with him as well is just a bit questionable right now. So yeah, that's why for me, his involvement, how they had him used, apart from obviously the actual match with Darby, was like worst segment for Dynamite.
Yeah.
What about you for yourself?
I'm sorry, I have to spin the block back on the women's division. But this is necessary.
You know what?
Ain't necessarily on the Outcasts. Not specifically them, but how many times? I feel like a drill rapper because I'm gonna say how many times have we seen match ends, Outcast beatdown, Britt Baker and Jamie Hayter come for the save, Outcast leave. Mekz, sometimes I feel like I'm experiencing deja vu.
Yeah,
I have seen this. So and it's not even like, there's a little nuance here. It's the same. There's no story anymore. It's done. It's just, what are we building to? What are we like? What is this? Like, I don't know what it is. It's like, it's weird. I don't know. Maybe I'm delusionally optimistic because I keep saying, the women's division is getting somewhere. then it's just we're literally going in a circle. There's like I can't even give the excuse of maybe they were waiting for someone to come in. There is nothing to like. There's nothing to be gained from this segment. Like week to week, what has changed? How has the story evolved? Nothing. Do we know anything new about Saraya? No. Do we know anything new about the Outcast? Do we know anything new about Britt Baker? No. Have there been any interesting changes in the faction? No. Have there been any interesting backstage segments? No. It's been literally the same thing over and over and over and over and over and over and over again, and it's beyond redundant at this point, and this has to be blamed on the booking. Like I said, maybe I've had my criticisms about the Outcast as a pairing or how the performance of certain members, but at the same time, it's like you're not giving them anything. You're giving them the same thing to do, and the same thing they're doing isn't compelling, doesn't push the story forward. It's just filling time. And at this point, as much as I love Jamie Hayter, Banger Badizio can't save you. Wrestling banger after banger after banger will save you personally, but won't save this storyline, because that has nothing to do with the actual story at hand, which is nothing. There is no story. Like I don't know at this point. I don't know what anybody wants.
Yeah.
I don't know what anybody wants. What do you guys want on both sides, on the Outcast and Britt Baker, and Jamie Hayter? Because you lot are saving people one week, but the next week they're nowhere to be. You're not even chilling with them. A simple backstage segment where Jamie Hayter, you put your arm around Riho, Sky Blue, and be like, "Listen, you're with us now." Nah, nothing.
Yeah.
Oh my, it's annoying at this point. It's a waste of time.
Yeah, I think obviously last week we got the backstage segment where the girls in the Outcast are calling out Jamie Hayter, saying that they want to become world champion. Jamie Hayter hasn't, paid them any
Said a
mind,
word.
hasn't given a rebuttal. Jamie Hayter had a world championship match last week. Rolled into the ring this week just for the pack of hyenas to attack her. Then Britt Baker came and made the save. It's like, yeah, where are we aiming for? Like, obviously, double or nothing. There's got to be a world title match against at least one of these women in the Outcasts. But it's like, let's talk about it. Let's start setting things up. Who is it going to be amongst the three of them? I assume there's going to be some dissension amongst the three of them, selecting who's going to go for that world title match. Like, let's move it along. And if this isn't the week to push this story along, remember you have a TBS champion, because she hasn't been on TV in 2 weeks. Whether she's away or unavailable, injured, who knows? But if it means that, okay, let's give this story 1 week to breathe, so we can come back with something better the following week, we can just have another women's match, even if it's away from the TBS title, even if it's away from the world title picture. Like, let's not, like, it's literally peaks and troughs with this women's division.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's really good, and then sometimes it's just like we're in a situation like a holding pattern, like we're trying to land an airplane, but we can't land right now because there's too many airplanes on the runway. Like, there's other stuff, other women in this division that you can use. Like, just have another match. Just put on two talents that can wrestle, give them 15 minutes, have a great match, and then we can, come back to this the following week. But they're forcing it out, and that's why segment by segment we're not really getting anything. We're not really getting much, and yeah, it's becoming very difficult. Although we know where this is most likely going to end up, it's a segment where it started pretty well in terms of once they decided to turn Saraya to a heel, and start forming these sides, start forming these alliances. We were somewhat invested. Now they're just dragging their feet,
Dragging it.
yeah, it's I don't know. I was very close to giving this my worst segment of the week. I just
I was
thought, let
tired.
me lay off the women. Let me lay off them and choose something else. And that's the only reason I
Yeah.
didn't choose them, because
No, I had to, man. I had to. I feel like the angle I was on last week was okay. The Outcasts have some deficiencies, and that still remains to be the case. But they're not being given anything of note to work with. So what can like how it's not fair. So I had to like just like angle at the booking as well because it's repetitive, it's tiresome. You're not given anything. And the thing is, it's going to be a thing where, like, in a few months' time, knowing me, they'll start building towards JB Hater versus Britt Baker, and I'll be on board with the women's division again. But at the same time, it's like I've noticed it because there's never been a point of like true consistency with women's division where we can block out even a 4-month period of just consistent. You know what I'm saying? Of course, you're allowed the off Dynamite here and there. But just consistent, this from start to finish, this was a compelling angle. We ain't had that.
Yeah.
We ain't had that. So, yeah, man, it's a consistent problem, but it's a problem we need to consistently call out because we ain't doing this with the men's division. Like, as much as we have problems with certain segments, like when it comes to the top stars of the men's division, like we've seen MJF's having a feud that's making sense. Currently, right now, we're looking at Blackpool Combat Cup. Amazing. Elite versus MJF and Darb and the Four Pillars. Great, well thought out stories. And like you said, Jade Cargill's like you've got Jade Cargill in the holding pattern as well because she's waiting for Taya Valkyrie to wrestle. And I don't even think Taya Valkyrie is the person because you haven't built her. Like since she debuted, like she's had a match and then we haven't built her to nothing. And I really feel like Tony Khan at this point is just stalling for Statlander. But if you are, I hear it, but you could still make the stalling better. Like you had a whole thing with the baddies right there that you could have dragged. You could have like if you were trying to, you could have dragged it. You could have had Red Velvet week after week after week wrestling, and Jade ignoring her to a point where okay, we get Red Velvet and Jade on a pay-per-view. Maybe you could have got that at Red Revolution or whatever. Cool, and that's a major feud done. Then this Taya Valkyrie thing, there's ways to like stretch out content if you're waiting for someone in particular, because I do hear it that cool. If you expect Statlander to be back before the end of the year or before like maybe the end of summer, then cool. It makes sense to stall for her. But stall properly. You're a booker. Like at the end of the day, this is what you get paid to do. Like it's like football. Like managers, a good manager isn't good when you have your entire team fit. No, you're gonna have injuries throughout the season. A good manager knows how to readjust his squad to make it make sense. You've got a squad of wrestlers, readjust and make it make sense so that when your star players come back, you're good to go.
Yeah. It's very puzzling. Like we're saying, peaks and troughs with the women's division. Sometimes it's really good. You can see they're making improvements, and then there's times like this. Special honorable mention, I would say, to the Will Hobbs Wardlow stuff as well. In terms of worst Dynamite segment, we're getting another Wardlow versus Will Hobbs, Powerhouse Hobbs for the TNT title next week, I think it is. Don't know why. It even frightens me somewhat. We're getting this, that Wardlow might actually win it back. And I don't know where we go from there if Wardlow wins. But yeah, I with this particular segment, again, the segment itself wasn't bad. It was typical big man destruction, all that kind of stuff. We've seen it before in wrestling. Don't mind that, but it's just, again, Will Hobbs, who he's surrounded with. I'm just not really sure he needs this, and they're doing much of anything with him, given this opportunity of putting the TNT title on him. So just a bit disappointing, in my opinion, there.
Yeah, I don't know what they're doing with the Wardlow and Ward Hobbs thing. I guess my only like a silver lining in this is that I hope Will Hobbs gets a definitive win that's clean.
Yeah,
because I didn't like the way he won the last match. But if he pins Wardlow, obviously there'll be shenanigans. But if he like definitively just pin Wardlow, end that chapter and move on, I feel like what we need with if the TNT title isn't the workhorse title, then put a storyline with the title. Doesn't have to be anything grandiose or major, but I don't know. I mean, we've rinsed Ricky Starks and Wardlow to death. I mean, Will Hobbs to death, but just give give a storyline, give something, you know. Oh, I'm an underdog. I want to challenge for the title. Just give something short term that's inoffensive that justifies a title defense and keep it stepping. But this segment was more so like meh. I wouldn't say it was like it wasn't like,
Yeah, it wasn't the worst, but
it was like meh, like cool. Will Hobbs could be doing better, but we move.
yeah, for me, it became meh when it's just like it was Wardlow that came back in, and it's like, oh, we're returning to this again. So yeah, but that in total was Dynamite. Is any last bits you want to mention or anything?
No, that's about it, man. Yeah, man. Dynamite was. I feel like it was a light show, but it did what it needed to do in terms of it advanced certain storylines. It was like an enjoyable show. Definitely, you know, not all shows are going to be like majorly news filled, like last week's, but yeah, I feel like we're slowly getting to Double or Nothing, and I feel like with AEW, it's a consistent product in the sense that the things that we expect to be good are usually good, and the things that we have questions about, our questions don't get answered. But it is what it is. But yeah, I thought the product was right. I give it like a maybe 6 out of 10. Like it was decent. Like, there was some noteworthy things to be seen.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. It was a good show. We had two cracking matches with Darby Swerve and Buddy Matthews and Orange Cassidy. Good to see. You know, I thought the Jericho and Keith Lee in the main event was pretty solid. Good to see Keith Lee being used, doing something.
Mm,
Obviously, we got Adam Cole, who we can see he's kind of been given. They're putting him back into things, and he's pretty much getting golden boy treatment. Um, but yeah,
mm-hmm.
great, good show, and we will see what follows on from this. Got title matches next week and stuff, so we shall see. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, guys, that was this week's episode of Revolution Radio, all things AEW Dynamite. Let us know what you thought in the comments. As well, if you want to catch Revolution Radio, it is available on our podcast audio feed as well. So if you just want to listen in, you're not watching on YouTube, you can do that as well. We will be back same time next week, 8 p.m. UK.
Yep.
So yeah, until then, guys, hope you enjoy the rest of the week. See you soon.
Mm.